he still doesn't know what he's looking at. He still doesn't flip protections. He doesn't know when he's hot. This isn't me saying this. I'm not an NFL. I've never claimed to be an NFL coach. This is people in that building will tell me he still doesn't know how to flip protections. He doesn't know when he's hot. He doesn't know what he's looking at. He can only throw to wide open receivers. He doesn't make tight window throws. He doesn't throw guys open. This is not the answer. These last 2 weeks were the opportunity coming off the Titans game to show that he can be the guy against playoff contenders, and he has not lived up to it. This is not it.
The narrative around Shedeur Sanders was he could not play in structure, and he was a one-throw type guy, boom or bust deep, right? But guess what? He shows you on film. The next week, he's able to come out here and throw the ball on time. The next week, we talk about running backwards. The next week, he shows he can step up in the pocket. Cosell talked about it. There's multiple. I'm not the only one to say it. Chase Daniels talks about it. Multiple quarterbacks talk about the progression. So my thing is, we can sit here and bring up a number that we looked up and said, hey, he's the worst quarterback of all time. But if you watching the game, nobody that plays the game of football, watch the game of football, or all the people that talk about it is not going to say that Shedeur Sanders is the worst quarterback they've ever seen.
Well, what's your favorite?
The Cleveland sports world just went nuclear. What was supposed to be a simple breakdown turned into an all-out war on live air. Jason Lloyd stepped in armed with cold, calculated analytics, numbers meant to shut down the Shedeur Sanders hype for good. The data was clear, the verdict seemed final, but G. Bush, he flipped the entire table. What started as analysis turned into a full-blown takedown. Voices rose, takes got personal, and suddenly this wasn't just about stats anymore. This was about, is Shedeur Sanders truly the solution to the Cleveland Browns quarterback crisis, or just the next chapter in their never-ending struggle?
This century, by dropback per EPA, he's worse than Jamarcus
Okay,
Russell.
explain that. I know we've talked about it before,
It
but for
takes
those that
into
might not know
account down
that.
and distance, field position, home or away, time and score. It is the most all-encompassing metric that you can use to measure a quarterback.
This isn't hyperbole. This isn't some talking head hot take. According to Jason, these are the facts, numbers that should slam the door shut on any debate. But G. Bush, he wasn't buying a single word of it. G. Bush came out swinging with a message that challenges the entire analytics movement. Numbers don't tell the whole story. He fired back with something every fan who's ever watched a struggling team knows deep in their bones. Context matters more than anything.
Kenny Pickett was the deal. Go watch what Kenny Pickett did the other week. He threw for like 5 yards. They told us he was the best option. Keep looking. Jackson Dart, I think he threw for like 32 yards yesterday. Like, maybe that was earth-shattering. Go look at Cam Ward and what his numbers are. His numbers have not been great the entire year.
This is where things got genuinely heated, because G. Bush wasn't just defending Shedeur, he was tearing apart the entire premise of judging a fifth-round rookie throwing behind the league's worst offensive line with 0 weapons inside a completely broken offensive system. The offensive line, dead last in the NFL. The receivers, generating the worst separation in the entire league. Quinshon Judkins, the starting running back, out with an injury. And somehow, Shedeur is supposed to just overcome all of that? G. Bush made it crystal clear. You cannot fairly evaluate a quarterback in complete isolation. Here's where this debate gets really interesting. Jason Lloyd leaned hard on EPA, expected points added, as the ultimate measuring stick for quarterback play. For anyone unfamiliar, EPA calculates how much a quarterback's decisions either increase or decrease his team's scoring chances on every single play. It factors in field position, down and distance, game situation, everything. By that metric, Shedeur Sanders is historically bad, the worst quarterback since 2000, according to Jason's data. But G. Bush fired back with a reality check that stopped everyone cold.
All the time. I just watched the game Jackson Dart play, one of the worst games I've ever seen.
But G, I don't understand what Jackson Dart has to do with anything. We're not discussing whether Jackson Dart should be the starting quarterback.
No. What I'm saying to you is, I'm not talking about discussing. We look at EPA stats and numbers in a vacuum, and when I go down here and I look and I'm breaking it down, I say, okay, let's see what you did in a seam route against the cover 2, right?
EPA doesn't account for scheme. It doesn't measure the talent surrounding you. It ignores coaching quality. It doesn't factor in whether your offensive coordinator is about to get fired. And most importantly, it completely overlooks development. This is where G. Bush really turned up the heat. He hammered home a point Shedeur's supporters have been screaming for weeks. The goalposts keep moving. At first, critics said Shedeur couldn't operate within structure, that he was just a one-read gunslinger who couldn't handle a real pro-style system. Then he went out and proved he could operate within structure. Against the Bills, his average depth of target was just 1.9 yards, the second lowest mark in the past 2 years. Everything was quick, clean, underneath, and on time.
Could not play in structure, right? What I'm saying is the narrative around Shedeur Sanders was he could not play in structure and he was a one-throw type guy, boom or bust deep, right? But guess what? He shows you on film. The next week, he's able to come out here and throw the ball on time. The next week, we talk about running backwards. The next week, he shows he can step up in the pocket. Cosell talked about it. There's multiple. I'm not the only one to say it. Chase Daniels talks about it. Multiple quarterbacks talk about the progression.
So what happened next? The narrative shifted. Now it's all about EPA, about efficiency metrics, about whether he's a top 10 quarterback. An absolutely absurd bar to set for a fifth-round rookie making his fifth career start. And G. Bush called it exactly what it was. When you keep moving the goalposts, no quarterback on earth can ever succeed. But here's where the conversation took an even darker turn. G. Bush pivoted to something Jason Lloyd actually agreed with. The Browns are completely trapped in an impossible situation, no matter which direction they go.
The Browns ain't even really in no position to take a quarterback if they wanted to. If you think about it, do you think with a rookie quarterback in the same line and no weapons, you think you're going to get more than 4 wins? No, you're not getting more than 4 wins. You'll be back in the same territory.
This is the nightmare scenario. If Andrew Berry stays on as GM, and every sign points to exactly that, he's staring at a brutal fork in the road. Draft a quarterback at number 2 overall, and you're dumping your entire draft capital into one single position while the offensive line stays a disaster and the receiver room stays empty. Roll with Shedeur and build around him, and you're betting the whole franchise on a 5th-round pick who already ranks among the statistically worst quarterbacks in modern NFL history. It's a lose-lose, and G. Bush laid it all out in brutal, unflinching detail. Right in the middle of everything, the panel took a detour that actually exposed the real problem eating this organization alive. They brought up the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3 head coaches in the last 55 years, playoff appearances in 22 of the past 33 seasons, even through stretches of genuinely mediocre quarterback play. Then Jason Lloyd dropped a stat that should make every Browns fan physically ill. The Browns have only drafted a quarterback in the top 20 picks twice in the last 55 years. Tim Kutch, Baker Mayfield. That's the entire list. And both of them got Cleveland to the playoffs.
The Browns are the most dysfunctional team in the NFL, period, full stop. And yet people think that they're going to be the team that can take a late round pick and develop him. They can buck the odds and do something that very few other teams can do. No, they have to be handed a pretty close to finished product to have any chance of success. And that is not Shedeur.
That's the painful truth. The Browns don't develop quarterbacks. They don't develop anyone. They're a permanently dysfunctional organization that keeps chasing miracle solutions instead of building something that actually lasts. And that's exactly why Shedeur's debate matters so much right now. This isn't just about evaluating one player. It's about whether this franchise has learned a single thing from decades of embarrassment. Let's get back to the heart of this argument, because when you strip everything else away, it all comes down to one fundamental question. What do you trust more? What you see on film or what the numbers say? Jason Lloyd trusts the numbers, and to be fair, they're ugly. Shedeur's EPA is historically terrible. His touchdown to interception ratio raises real concerns. His performance in high-pressure situations has been inconsistent. But G. Bush trusts what he watches on tape, and what he sees is a quarterback showing genuine growth, a guy learning to work the pocket, showing real accuracy on deep balls, a player who has led the team in rushing 3 straight weeks.
When you are evaluating a quarterback on a bad team, you have to take what you can and extrapolate and say, Can I get better with this guy? Can this guy get better? Does he show me the tools and traits, whether it's his acumen throwing the football, or does the team rally around him, that I could say with improvements here, here, and here, and a new play caller and what we want to do, can he be successful? To me, he has the basic traits.
That's the core of the disagreement. Jason sees a finished product that doesn't measure up. G. Bush sees a developmental prospect with real upside. And here's the honest truth. Both perspectives could be completely valid. So where does that actually leave us? The Browns are picking in the top 2. They have a legitimate shot at drafting either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, 2 quarterbacks widely viewed as NFL-ready than anyone currently on Cleveland's roster. Jason Lloyd's position is crystal clear. If you're picking number 2 overall, you have to take a quarterback. The odds of finding a franchise signal caller outside the top 10 are razor thin, and the Browns have already proven they can't turn late-round picks into stars. G. Bush's stance is equally firm. You can't keep hitting the reset button. You can't keep burning first-round picks on quarterbacks while the offensive line stays a wreck, the receiver room stays hollow, and the entire foundation you need to actually win football games stays broken.
That goes into it. The offensive line is the worst in the league statistically, and that's not even debatable. When you take a look at the receiving core, they get the least amount of separation. They don't catch the ball when it's open. And on top of that, you're missing most.
And that's the impossible corner this franchise has painted itself into, because both arguments genuinely make sense. The hard reality? This organization is so fundamentally broken that it almost doesn't matter who they draft. Until they fix the culture, until they build real sustainable infrastructure, until they stop making catastrophic decisions at the highest levels of the building, they'll keep wasting talent and ruining careers. Shedeur Sanders might be the guy. He might not be. But the real problem isn't at the quarterback position. It's the organization that has been destroying quarterbacks for 3 straight decades. Nothing changes until everything changes. And Cleveland fans, they understand that better than anyone on the planet.